Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pastrami Paranormal, the new Pastrami Nation podcast where we focus on all things paranormal. Um, I'm Kevin from Pastrami Nation, and with me today, as usual, Nolan Smith and
Hi.
Rebecca Benson. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing good. We're really excited for this new installment for Pastrami.
Yeah, this new venture, it's really exciting. I think it's something we're all fascinated with. We all love talking paranormal stuff. We love all things paranormal. So today, we're kind of going to talk about our kind of personal experiences, why we like the paranormal, and what kind of brought us into this world, and why we're doing this podcast in the first place. And then we'll kind of go from there and talk about, all that stuff first. So if you guys want to go ahead and get started, so where did you guys first get kind of fascinated with the paranormal?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
For me, it just stemmed from the stories, because I loved history. I still do. And so like my dad would take us on to different attractions and museums. So we went to the Queen Mary once. And then he did like the whole printout of all the different spooky stories. And so as we were kind of traveling through with our tour group, I'd be like, I saw that in the book. And so it just kind of propelled itself. And I haven't lost that interest and that fascination with the stories with the different people. So that's where I kind of got started.
And for me, it'd be real life. It's always been around. Whether it's at our house or family members' houses or stories passed on, it's always been there. And it's never, to me, it was never a ghosts aren't real kind of thing. Like, they're real. Like,
Right.
Don't mess with them. And as a kid, that's how it was growing up. I'm half Caucasian, I'm half Hispanic, and you get told different stories from on the Hispanic side, and stories that'll scare you as a kid. I guess I'm lucky there was no like scary Irish ghost stories too. I'm sure somebody on that side would have said it. So thank God I didn't have to hear that, because that would scare the heck out of me.
Right.
But, it was always the real life for me. We family members have had the experiences. My immediate family has had the experiences with it, and it's just always been there. So how about you, Kevin?
Yeah, no, it's kind of the same thing with me. I'm also, half Hispanic and half white. So a lot of the culture on the Hispanic side, especially, they have like the scariest, kind of freakiest, versions of these stories. You have things like La Llorona, which we kind of talked about a little bit before. Like that used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid. That was just one of the scariest things. Just imagining her scream and things like that was always terrifying to me. But it was always something that was around, and something that, especially around my family, not that everyone kind of particularly believed in ghosts or anything, but it was just kind of a presence, whether it's watching movies or like having strange experiences at my house that I grew up in. I used to, it sound crazy, but I used to see shadow people, when I was a kid, kind of in my room and around my bed. And it was never a pleasant experience. And it always just kind of stuck with me. And just kind of growing up in this culture, like I love, horror movies. Horror movies have always kind of been like a comfort thing, but it's one of those things where it's comforting, but I also believe in it too. So it's actually scares me at times. Because it's those forces that you can't see, that you don't know about. Yeah, that's kind of my history with it. I just extremely fascinated with all facets of the paranormal. So whether it's, ghosts, poltergeists, UFOs, kind of anything that's out there, anything kind of supernatural is kind of definitely something I love. What's that?
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot is an interesting one. Bigfoot is fun. I like the idea of Bigfoot. I think it's a really cool, fun, out there idea. Still, I live up in
I can kind of speak a little on that one.
Yeah, please.
So growing up, my grandmother had this big ranch out in like the hills in Paris. And like it was massive trees and olive trees, and it was cool to go to as a kid. Like you had the frogs, you had lizards, you had every kind of wildlife. Like you had to drive into the dirt roads to get there. And there were Bigfoot sightings there.
Nice.
So much that Geraldo actually went there.
Really?
And he did a broadcast from there, and they got the plaster footprint.
Oh, okay. That's where that came from.
There was one there, yeah, over in Paris. So I do remember, I don't know if it was my grandmother that saw it or if it was a family member, but okay, so these trees over there have been there forever. So when I'm talking trees, I'm talking like thick trees, right?
Right.
They said like they were at the house, and you can see the horizon is just trees. Like there was no neighbor; it was just trees. And one time they saw something was coming because you saw the trees shaking from the very back, moving towards the house, shaking as it went. So for something to shake a tree of that magnitude, like it had to be something big. Bigfoot, in my family has always been something that's fascinated us, from the silly stuff like Harry and the Hendersons to,
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that there is some sort of Bigfoot out there, or big feet, because it can't just be one, whether it be, something that's left over from our, from the BC era, or some species that was never discovered. There's something there, and it's always fascinated me, the cryptozoology part of it. But also, in jumping back to your shadow people, so growing up, we lived in a different, not in the high desert. We lived out in like the Orange County-ish area, and my sister has learning disabilities, and it took a while for her to be able to communicate with people well. But she would always make these drawings, and these drawings were of a red shadow with a top hat, like Abe Lincoln. And she would always draw him, and then she would put the number 5 next to him. And she would always see that. And we never knew why or what. We don't know. Was it like a red ghost with that top hat? Was the 5 like this ghost saying 5? Did the 5 mean it was next to the address that had a 5? But as a kid, I mean, it was the purest form of communication for her to be able to draw that.
Right.
We absolutely know she saw something, and not just once, multiple times. And it wasn't just the red one; like there were black ones and whatnot, but the red one always stood out to me because, like, who's ever heard of a red ghost? So I absolutely believe that you've seen shadow people, because I know my sister has too.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's never really been a question, if they exist. I think the only question I've ever had is kind of how, you know what I mean? Like what are they? There are different theories as to what ghosts are, what sightings are. If they're the residual hauntings, which are just basically replays of past events. Like someone lives in a house for 50 years and they get up, go eat breakfast every day for 50 years at the same time they die, and they're still doing the same thing. Their energy's still there. They're still doing the same thing. And it's just always, that part of it's always kind of fascinated me. Like, what exactly is it?
If you're not living, you're not dead.
Exactly.
What are you?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Exactly.
It's always fascinating here too. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what religion you are, like if you think of, do you go somewhere after, then why aren't you there?
Right.
And then if it's the opposite end, if you don't believe there's something after, then how do you explain this, right?
Yeah. Like, what is it?
It's fascinated me. Like, what would it be? And how do you explain it? But then I fall back into the some things can't be explained, I guess.
Some things you can't
like cross over, if you will. If you're still here, then why? What is that purpose? Because obviously, it's not just to scare kids. There has to be some kind of
What if that is the purpose?
Scary kids. Hey, if I ever die and become a ghost, that's what I'll be doing.
You'd apply for that job, right?
I'm gonna apply for that job. Yeah,
Like, I
man.
want to do it. I want to scare kids. Me.
You have nothing better to. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? I think it'd be fun. um, yeah, so like it's like just a very fascinating subject, and I think obviously we're not the only ones. I mean, you look at there's hundreds of thousands of movies made about this. Movies, TV shows, books. People like Stephen King, are the masters of using the paranormal in their stories, and it's always just kind of a question of what else is out there. I think people are just fascinated by that in general.
Mm-hmm.
And whether and it's like you have not just earthly stuff, but you also have the stuff in the skies, which I think really fascinates a lot of people. What else is out there, not just spirit wise or anything, but like alien life, UFOs, things like that.
Spacemen. Yeah.
Spacemen.
Do you believe in aliens?
I do. I think I think the universe is way too small, way too big for us to just kind of be the only ones.
How about you?
I don't know if I believe in like the little green men. I don't know if that's too like Hollywood, but
right.
I'm not discounting other species or like more organic alien.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't specifically think there are little green men like Mars Attacks running around up in space. But I do believe that there's other life out there. Like there has to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, it's just way too big for us to be the only ones on this little rock, like little tiny rock floating in space.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And I mean, I don't know if I believe in like little spacemen. I don't know what they would look like, but I do think there's something out there.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that something's probably came here and it's been covered up.
Yes. Oh yeah, agreed.
The whole Area 51, and there's so many holes in the stories and whatnot. I don't think they look like what we see in Mars Attacks or
X-Files.
Yeah, Destroy All Humans video game. The little gray men running around with their big heads. Mm-hmm. But something has to be out there. And honestly, I think humanity's on a crash course to find out, because I think, I don't know, maybe in the next 100 years, eventually we're just going to take our butts to different planets and mine it, whatever it is, and we're going to find out what's there the wrong way. And we'll have nobody to blame but ourselves, because
that is very true.
Being greedy, humanity. Be happy with what you have. I think more like John Carter or Mars.
Yes.
Like big, like creepy aliens, monsters, stuff like that. Things that we couldn't imagine. I think that's what we would see. And honestly, I don't want to see it. Okay. I don't want to be killed by this thing.
Right.
Or even, I forget the name of it. It's like they discovered a species of something that was so microscopic. I think they called it a space cow, where it looks like this, like where they zoomed in on it and it looked like this little creature with this mouth, and he had these like all these different arms and legs, but he's so microscopic you couldn't see him with a naked eye. And that's something that they've seen here on Earth. Imagine seeing one of those like 50 times our size.
Dude, that's insane to me. And it's like the idea of them bringing something back like that. Like imagine like you're on a space mission and like something gets stuck in your shoe or something, bring it back. And like, the prevailing kind of theory is that, what if this thing has some sort of disease or something that we cannot, literally from outer space.
Is that how we got COVID?
Heck. Alien bats.
And somebody made soup out of it.
Yep. Bad idea. But no, it's like things that, I don't think there's a green men either, but like it's hard for me to like discount a lot of these like alien experience, abduction experiences. Like things like I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Fire in the Sky.
Oh.
Which one?
What's that?
Sorry, what did you?
No, what were you gonna say?
Oh, The Fourth Kind.
Oh, The Fourth Kind is great. The Fourth Kind is awesome. But no, Fire in the Sky. It's about Travis Walton. It came out in the early '90s, but this movie terrified me till no end. And it's based on a true story. This guy named Travis Walton, which I think we should do a whole episode on because it's super fascinating. But he basically gets abducted by UFOs, by a UFO. He's out there with his friends. You know, he's a logger in Arizona. This all happens in Arizona, and his friends all witness him get abducted by this craft in the sky. He gets taken up, and these guys go through like, you know, the city, the cops think that they murdered him, you know, that they killed him, that they threw him away, but they all pass lie detector tests. They all have the same story. They all were like, this is legit. This is what happened. Anyways, Travis Walton shows back up, like, you know, I think it was like a month later, just like completely just in the middle of the woods. He just shows up again. It's just super. The movie cuts between, like, you know, the cops interrogating the guys and his experiences on the UFO. So there's like all these, you know, experiments they're doing on him. There's this one scene where they have his eyelids open and they're sticking a needle, and it's just, yeah, it was this weird, like, just, you know, it's got a great cast. It's kind of, you know, it's really early '90s. So it's like, you know, it's, you know, Robert Patrick's in it and a bunch of other people are in it, but it's a good movie. We should check that out so we could talk about that case more, because that thing is fascinating. But it's like you hear stories like that and you do the research into the stories and you read the testimonies and you see that the guys they all passed the lie detector test. They all, you know, which I know is possible to do, but 4 guys all passing it, you know, with the same story. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to discount that, you know, in a way. So movies like that, and even, you know, we talked about X-Files a little bit, you know, the aliens, but it's like, you know, that is another thing that really was a huge influence on my fascination with UFOs and the paranormal and all that stuff. The X-Files was kind of it. And obviously it's not based on true stories. I know that, but, you know, it plays into my myth of how everything goes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's still hard to say what's true and what's not without any solid evidence or proof. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what comes into play then, is our personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, okay, maybe there is some truth. You know, if you weren't necessarily a believer or have any personal experiences, and you go, there is something. There is some truth.
Yeah, there is. And I think, there is more out there than we, you know, kids below, you know, a certain age, they say, can see things, can hear things, that can, you know, very open to all that stuff. And, you know, my son had some weird stuff that he was doing when he was a kid, you know, playing with his best friend who was just him, you know, and like just all the weird random stuff. So it's hard, you know, again, it's hard to discount a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, you can't prove it, but you can't disprove it.
Right. Exactly. So I think it's one of those things that, you know, other than, you know, like you said, Rebecca, it's really all about our personal experiences. It's the best we can do. You know, I mean, people are either in it for the clout, but I don't think many people have much to gain from it. You know what I mean? From coming out with these, you know, telling their experiences and telling their stories. I think, I honestly tend to believe people when they tell me they saw something and they just can't explain it.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's different when it's, you know, regular people saying it versus, like, you know, the ones that are trying to sell their experience, like,
right.
Like, I got abducted, you know, write a book about me. Or, I mean, the Bigfoot people, geez, you know, like so many fakes and whatnot, like they do it for the exposure on there. But when it's people telling you about like ghost experiences or whatnot, you're right. They're not selling that story, you know, out to anybody. They're just sharing this is what happened. And I think that brings the credibility there versus, you know, the ones that just they want the Inquirer to pay for their story, you know, because there's a devil baby or something like that, you know.
Oh my gosh, the Inquirer was also a huge influence on me as a kid, to be honest with you. I pretty much fell for every single one of those stories when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I thought Batboy was real. I thought that, they actually did capture, that ghost on camera, which again, I'm not discounting all that stuff, but National Enquirer.
It was so well placed at every supermarket. Like I remember being in line with my mom, seeing it, and you see like the devil appeared in a tornado, and you're like, what?
The Photoshop was so bad on, or it was.
It was, yeah. I don't even know if it was Photoshop. It was whatever came before that.
It was whatever came before that. Yeah, like it looked like I've looked at some covers since, just kind of online, just kind of browsing. It looks fake. Like it's like there's no way this is real.
But as kids, we bought into it.
Yeah, we did.
See that kind of stuff. It's not still around, is it? Like the Enquirer's not still going. Is
I
it?
think I honestly I think it is. Last I heard, but it's like an actual paper now. Like it's not like that kind of like paranormal weird like
Paranormal
stuff anymore. Yeah, it's more like an OK magazine or something like that now, where it's like People or something like that, where it's more like celebrity type stuff.
Like we need the weird stuff in our lives
Well,
too.
we do.
We don't have to believe in it, but it was entertaining to see.
We do, man. It was fun. Like I do kind of miss it a little bit, especially being older now. Like I wish I saw that now, because I would freak out and be like, this is freaking awesome, even though I know it's all completely fake.
Right.
I don't know. I think he thinks the X-Files is real. And
Rebecca, you're an X-Files fan too.
Yes.
I know that. Have you, just kind of not to go too much off topic real quick, but did you watch the newer seasons?
I did.
You did? Yeah.
How were they?
My reaction is exactly. I think it was okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be totally fine if they never made another one, to be honest.
Right. It just didn't work with him.
It didn't work.
It was so good before. Yeah. I used to see it all the time. Yeah, it was great.
Friday nights, and then it got moved to Sunday nights. And,
yeah. Such a good show. But, it is funny how that kind of pop culture really kind of, formed our ideas of a lot of these things, of a lot of this paranormal stuff, how even today, pop culture is still very much a huge part of how we respond to these things, or how we kind of form these ideas in our head, like of what this is, you know what I mean? And then one thing I don't like is when they make a movie like La Llorona and it's not scary at all, in the least.
Was it not scary? I didn't see it.
It was bad. It was bad. I'm a huge Conjuring fan. I love The Conjuring. The two Conjuring movies are like, honestly, like some of the best horror movies in the past like 10 years, 15 years. This was supposed to be like a spin-off of that world, kind of like Annabelle or something like that.
Okay.
Annabelle, the second and third Annabelles were actually really good. The first one wasn't good. La Llorona was just, it was bad. It was horrible. There is one on Shudder. There's a different, it's called La Llorona as well, but it's not this one. It's a totally different, actually independent movie from Mexico that they made. And it's supposed to be really good. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but that's the one I'm kind of looking forward to. But yeah, don't watch. Please don't watch La Llorona. So look, this is how La Llorona went. This is how not scary it was. Me and my wife were watching it. My wife can't handle horror movies. Cassie, she can't do it. She hates horror movies with a passion. So we're babysitting our nephew, James. He's over. He's like 3. And we're, he's sleeping on the floor. We're, this is when we live back at our apartment. We're hanging out on the couch watching it. He's sleeping. Probably like 3/4 into the movie, like we hear a little voice and he's like, yeah, this is getting scary now. And I was like, we both look at each other. He was awake the whole time. The whole time, us not knowing it. He watched La Llorona, and it wasn't until like the last like 10 minutes where he actually got scared. And this is a 3-year-old kid who normally cannot watch any of that.
Oh wow.
That is how unscary La Llorona was. And yeah, we still like feel bad. We thought he was asleep. He's fine now, though. He's good.
Is he?
Kids get over it.
Yeah, kids get over it. You're resilient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I just think, like I said before, the paranormal is a super fascinating subject, and I think that's why I'm excited to do this podcast, because we can talk about all the different parts of the paranormal that fascinate us, and different cases that fascinate us too, different things that reports, different things that have happened that we can talk about, and talk about things that are the most interesting to us. So I know we talked about all this stuff, but what really, like, what area do you really love about the paranormal? Like, what is one, if you had to pick one subject just to talk about for the rest of your life about the paranormal, what would it be if you had to pick one? Could be anything now.
Well, mine's super easy. It's cryptozoology.
Okay.
That would be the aspect for me. From Bigfoot to the Green River Monster, Jersey Devil, Abominable, and all of Mothman, all of that. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, I grew up on all of that stuff. So if I could only talk about one aspect of the paranormal, it would be cryptozoology.
Cool, very cool. About you, Rebecca?
Tell me if this counts or not, but definitely angels and demons.
Oh yeah,
okay. Yeah,
that counts. Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely. Yeah, mine, I would definitely go with I'd have to go with like the spirit realm. Ghosts and things like that are the most interesting to me, and I feel like that's also the most, for me personally, it's almost the most tangible in a way, just because
yep.
You can find evidence of it, you can find proof, or what I consider proof and evidence. Yeah, I think it'd be great. And me and my buddy, we went on a couple of our little amateur ghost hunts, like in cemeteries and stuff, when we were, back in our early 20s. Those were a lot of fun. I want to get back into that again. Just, I found a bunch of really cool, like, ghost hunting teams around here in Portland. So look into that.
If you do it, you're gonna have to, like, Blair Witch your way through it with a camera, and then
yeah, definitely.
Or like zoom it, and then we'll be on there too. Like, Kevin, watch out, Kevin, what's that behind you?
Dude, that would be fun, man. That would be fun. Next time we meet up sometime, we gotta go on a ghost hunt or something. Go on a ghost adventure.
That'd be super cool. Yeah,
that would be really cool.
Especially really
cool. That area,
wooded area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down. I don't care wherever you guys want to take me. I'm going.
You're supposed to
we're just gonna show up. Kevin.
Yeah, I'll go looking for ghosts anytime. Just say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen that? Like, there's a meme out there. It's like how my friends get me to go out, and it has like Vincent Price, and he's like, there will be food and drink and ghosts. Yeah. I'm like, yep, that'll get me out.
There you go. Right. No, yeah, totally down for all of the above. Yeah.
Definitely all of the above. But yeah, so I think this is gonna be a super exciting new adventure in Pastrami Nation history. I'm super stoked to talk, to do it and to explore all these different aspects of the paranormal. I also think we have I love, there are a couple paranormal podcasts that I listen to that I really like. A lot of it's just very, I like to hear from people who are just kind of fans of it in a way. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's fun to be like, knowledge, super like interested in it and super knowledgeable about it, but you just talk about how cool it is too, and like how interesting it is to you and stuff like that. And I hope that we can kind of connect with people on that aspect of it too,
and even personal experiences.
Yeah, personal experiences, and I think that's important.
And I'd like to invite anybody who is watching this, please leave comments on whatever channel you're on, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you see this. Let us know your experiences. Like, how did you get into the paranormal world, what are your real life experiences, and let us know about it, because that's what it's about. We want to know your stories too. That's what we want to do here. We want to share our stories with all of you, and let us know. And honestly, the scarier the better. So feel free.
Yeah, we love scary stuff all year round. It's not just Halloween, all the time.
Halloween all year long.
It's
all
not
year long.
scary either, because I have a story, but
What's that?
Yeah.
I said it's not necessarily scary either. That's
Right.
why angels and demons.
It doesn't have to be scary. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I think, I think that's one of the main kind of things that people get. Yeah. I didn't mean that all of it's scary.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's, some people, it's just part of their life, and hopefully we get some super interesting, stories to, that other people can talk about, and some cool guests and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything, else you wanted to talk about today.
No, I think this is a really good start to it.
Yeah.
I would just please invite everybody to drop your comments. Let us know about your experiences with it. Let us know about your favorite paranormal movies or TV shows, whatever it may be. Let us know about it. We want to know about it. Also, make sure to always visit us at pastramination.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we continue to blow up on Pinterest for some reason.
People like pictures.
They do. You know what? Pastrami has pictures. We have cool artwork from the comics that we get to review. We have movie stills. We have pictures.
People love pictures.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for everyone who's watching, listening, wherever. Remember, you can check out all of our other podcasts and stuff on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else. So, well, thank you guys for joining me, and you guys have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Take care, everyone.